today we're going to go over my top 3 takeaways from the book Atomic Habits. We're going to go over how it's changed my life and how it can change yours. Atomic Habits by James Clear. So the first thing I want to talk about with this is just the title itself. It is one of the best titles of any book I've ever read, because when you think of atomic, the first thing that comes to mind, or at least to mind, is atoms, which are the smallest building blocks of matter, and atomic weapons, which are the most powerful weapons mankind has ever created. That is exactly what this book is about. It is about manipulating the smallest pieces to make something that is the most powerful. And that is just, it's perfect. It's a perfect title for the book. And he really delivers on this. And it's point by point. He goes through and shows you how to manipulate the small details in order to get the biggest results. Can't recommend this book enough. There's a ton of podcasts he's also done as guest on different ones. Really recommend you go listen to those as well. The one he did with Rich Roll is probably my favorite, and I'll link to it as well as the actual book itself down in the description below if you want to go check it out. So we are going to go over 3 things that I got out of this book. The first thing I want to talk about is the compounding effect. So this is something that most people are familiar with in terms of investing, but sadly most people do not think exponentially. Most people think in a linear way. So let's do a little example. Most people find it easiest to think in terms of linear results. And one of the reasons I think that is because it's easy to wrap your head around, because on day 1 you get in 1 day worth of effort and you get a certain amount of return out of it. So you get time and return. And then further down, you get another day's worth of time and a certain amount of result. And it's the same. So no matter when, you can always count on a certain amount of time getting you a certain amount of results. So it's very easy to plan for. It's very easy to wrap your head around. Unfortunately, sometimes things will actually be exponential. People have a hard time wrapping their head around this because, day 1 results may be almost nothing. So it doesn't seem like you're getting very far, but you stick with it. Further down the line, you get, a certain amount of time with a lot more results. You stick with it a little further, same amount of time, you get a lot more results. And if you do the math, his big thing is try to get 1% better every day. That's not a hard thing to try to do, is you just get 1% better. Very manageable, it's very accomplishable. Most people don't put in the time and effort to try to get 1% better because 1% is not very much. Right? But if you do the math, 1% better every day, 365 days in a year, you actually get 37 times better mathematically, is how that adds up. So the idea is that incremental changes over a long period of time give you massive results. That's the same way investing works. Putting a few dollars away every day may not seem like a whole lot. It's just a few dollars. But over time, compounding takes effect and you get massive returns. And that's the big secret to Warren Buffett's wealth. He didn't make any huge gains over the last 30 years. Warren Buffett's average return has been just under 10%. That's not fantastic. That's not crazy. The S&P 500, the most basic investment you can really get into over the last 30 years, their average return has been just under 10%. So if for the past 30 years, if you're just putting money into the S&P 500, you are performing just as good as Warren Buffett. And the reason he has become so wealthy is he's been doing it for a very, very, very long time. There's no secret sauce. It's just time and exponential thinking. And so when we apply this to our habits, that's where we can really see massive change in our lives. If you are getting 1% better, 1% closer to your goal, 1% closer to being the person you want to be every day, consistently, over time, you will see Warren Buffett type results. The second thing that I really took away from this book that is probably the most impactful to me is the idea of identity and really putting some emphasis on who you want to be instead of goals that you want to accomplish. So one of the things he said in the book that really stuck with me, and just the way that he worded it, is that every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to be. And that's just a wonderful way of thinking about it. So one of my goals right now is to run a marathon. He would say, scrap that goal altogether, because you will not rise to the level of your goals, you will sink to the level of your systems. He would say that a better way to approach that is to become the type of person that can run a marathon. So become a runner. And so how do you become a runner? You do actions that a runner would do. So a runner runs every day. They get up, they put their shoes on, they get out the door, and they get the miles in. So every morning that I go for a run, that's a vote. That's an individual vote for me being a runner. Every day that I get too busy and don't go for a run, or it's bad weather and I don't go for a run, every day that I don't is a vote for being someone that's not a runner. Each individual day is not make or break. If I go running one day, that's one vote for being a runner. One vote does not make me a runner. But on the flip side of that, one day of not running also doesn't make me a non-runner. It's just one vote. But at the end of the year, you can tally up those votes and you can see who got the most votes. Did you vote consistently on being a runner? And did a runner win by a landslide? Or is it more half and half? And are you it's a toss-up? Or did non-runner get all the votes and you're definitely not a runner? That is up to you to cast the votes that you want to cast. Elect who you want to elect. Do you want to be a runner, or whatever it is your goal is, or not? And you can evaluate each action you take. Is this action a vote for the person I want to be, or is this action a vote for a person I don't want to be? And just the way of thinking about actions like that and identity like that, it's just really stuck with me from the first time I've read the book. The third point we're going to get into is really the meat of the book. It is the how-to on habit formation. His big thing is to make it easy. All right. Big, grand actions are great, but they don't last. They don't stick, and they're hard to do and hard to keep up. And we are all about, in this book, long-term thinking. Not just doing something once, but doing it consistently over time to get those massive results. So make it easy. Couple of examples. First thing you want to do that he recommends is starting small. He actually talks about this in an interview that he did. I believe it was the Rich Roll episode. There was a guy that wanted to run. To start off with, he didn't go run X number of miles a day. He set his goals much, much lower. His big thing was getting on the running shoes, getting on his workout gear, and getting out the door. And that was it. So if he got his shoes on, got his running gear on, and walked out the door, that was a check mark for the goal. That was a check mark for the action. And he could turn right back around, walk in, and he had accomplished that habit. And he stuck with this every day, getting his gear on, waking up, getting his gear on, getting out the door, and nothing else. But once he had that down, once it's a habit to get your shoes, running shoes on, habit to get into gear, habit to get out the door, well, then the running part's a lot easier to work on when you're already there, when it's a habit to get going. That's how you make a lasting change. You want to remove the barriers of entry. And a great way to remove the barriers of entry is to set yourself up for success. So this is something he talks about in the book, where if working out is one of the goals that you set, then make it easy on yourself. Have your workout gear set out the night before so that when you wake up, everything's ready to go. Do all that stuff ahead of time. Do it the night before. Go ahead and set your workout clothes up. Go ahead and have a plan on what you're going to do. That way when you wake up, all you have to do is do it. If your goal is to write, which is another one of my goals, set yourself up for success. The night before, say you want to write in the mornings, the night before, have your manuscript up on the screen on your computer ready to go. That way in the morning, first thing you walk into your office, boom, there it is. You just sit down and write. Even Tony Robbins talks about this when he talks about his morning routine. He has an intentionally very short morning routine.
I do my priming, I think you're familiar with, which is I do 10 minutes, and I pick 10 minutes because if I said do 20 minutes or 30, I don't have time.
And he says that he keeps it short like that, a few minutes, because he knows if it's a half-hour routine that he has to do every morning, to work out, read, meditate, and all that, if that's a half hour or an hour long, he's busy. He's going to find reasons not to do it. Things get in the way of it. So he intentionally keeps it short to make it easy on himself so that he can accomplish the things he wants to accomplish. Know the obstacles in your way, get rid of them first. Another way you can use this same technique is to make bad habits harder to do. If you are someone that gets distracted by social media when you should be writing, maybe turn your Wi-Fi off while you're writing. If eating junk food is something you're trying to stop doing, don't keep it in the house. If you have food set out on the counter, easy to get to, it's going to be a lot harder to say no to it. If you're trying to cut down on the hours of TV that you watch, put the remote in, nightstand drawer or something. Unplug the TV at night. So next day, if you want to watch TV, you got to go plug it in. Just putting those barriers in there so that an action that you don't necessarily want to take, there's more steps to try to take it. Put more obstacles in your way for things you don't want to do, and remove obstacles for things you want to do. Make it easy. And the last thing to do with making it easy is dealing with the instant gratification monkey. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say instant gratification monkey, go watch this video. Just go watch this video. But basically what he gets into in Atomic Habits is doing things that are difficult and don't have any instant return to them. We are just not wired to do that. We want some kind of reward when we do a thing. And that's part of what makes habits is you get some kind of reward for it. Work with that. Don't work against that. One of the things you can do is set up a reward for yourself for doing a good habit. One of the things you can do is as simple as marking it off of a list. Some people really, really enjoy marking things off a list. You can set up a calendar where each day where you after you do your habit that you're trying to cultivate, you can just go over there and mark that day off. Jerry Seinfeld really swears by this method. Someone asks him, how do you get great at writing jokes? And he says, get a big desk calendar, and every day that you write a joke, you mark a day on that calendar. After a few days, you'll have a streak going, and the secret is, don't break the streak. Simple as that. Another thing that James Clear mentions in the book is to stack habits. So, taking something you already do that's a habit, say brushing your teeth, attach a habit you're trying to build to that. So if you want to do yoga in the mornings, brush your teeth and do yoga. Somehow attach those in your mind so that when you do one, you do the other. You already have the habit of one, so that's a consistent thing that'll keep showing up day in and day out. And if you tie the new habit to it, it's a better chance of sticking. And if you continue to do it, then you're more likely to get the long-term benefits, which is what we're really after. So that's my big takeaways from Atomic Habits. The way I'm using this is with my running and with my writing, setting up systems and making it easy for myself. So with the writing, having that manuscript up on the computer when at the end of the day, so that I know when I come back to it in the morning, the first thing I'm going to see is the manuscript already pulled up where it needs to be, and all I have to do is type. Focusing on doing that and getting those votes in for me being a writer. That's how I'm applying it to there, and we'll see what kind of results we get from that. It's so far been working out really well. Same thing with my running, trying to focus on that day by day. I'm someone that runs. I'm a runner, and therefore I have to go on a run because that's what runners do. And less focused on, a certain goal of running a marathon or something like that is just that day to day. This is what runners do. I'm a runner, so that's what I'm going to do. It's just more of a mindset shift that's really been helpful for me. And I'll have videos with updates on progress of those 2 goals and systems coming up soon, so stay tuned for that. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. Subscribe, like the video, let me know down in the comments what you like, what you'd like to see, and I'll see you on the next one.